Jai Hind everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel which is Explore Yourselves, Banking and General Knowledge etc. Please subscribe to the channel and also please do like and share and leave your suggestions in the comment section. The events of 18 September 2024 are follows. Bengali date পয়লা আশ্বিন 1431 As per Benimadovsil Ponjika, today's Tithi is Purnima and up to 0848 hours and after that Krishna Pratikad. Today's Nakshatra is Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra and up to 1255 hours and after that Uttar Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Today is 262nd day of the year. There are then 104 days left in 2024. Today is 38th Wednesday of 2024. Today is lunar eclipse, Chandragrahan day. Partial lunar eclipse would occur on September 18, 2024. It would be the second and the last lunar eclipse out of the two lunar eclipses in 2024. As it partial eclipse of magnitude 0.085, very less portion of the moon will be covered by the Earth's umbral shadow at maximum eclipse. The portion of the moon inside the umbral shadow will only be illuminated by sunlight refracted through the Earth's atmosphere. The partial eclipse would be visible from Africa, most of Europe, North America and South America continents. The penumbra eclipse would be visible in some western parts of India, but none of the religious activities which are observed during lunar eclipse would be followed. None of the eclipse would be visible from eastern parts of India, Nepal, Sri Lanka and most countries in Asia. Also none of the eclipse would be visible from Australia continent. Some well-known cities to see partial lunar eclipse are Ankara in Turkey, London in England, Cairo in Egypt, Paris in France, New York and Los Angeles in USA, Moscow in Russia, Johannesburg in South Africa, etc. Today is World Bamboo Day. World Bamboo Day is celebrated on September 18th every year to raise awareness about bamboo and its many uses. Bamboo is a versatile, strong and eco-friendly plant that can help reduce carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. Today is International Equal Pay Day. International Equal Pay Day is celebrated on September 18th to raise awareness of the gender pay gap and advocate for equal pay for women and men. The United Nations established the day in 2019. Today is World Water Monitoring Day. The World Water Monitoring Day is observed every year on September 18 since 2003 to increase public awareness and involvement in water monitoring and protecting water resources around the world. Enhancing accountability and sustainability for every drop. World Water Monitoring Day is an international education and outreach program that builds public awareness of the importance of protecting water resources around the world by engaging with people to conduct basic monitoring of their local water bodies. Today is Global Company Culture Day. Global Company Culture Day is celebrated on September 18th each year. It was established in 2019 by the Global Company Culture Association to highlight the importance of a positive and productive work environment. Today is United States Air Force Day. United States Air Force Day is celebrated on September 18th each year to commemorate the establishment of the United States Air Force. The Air Force history dates back to the early 20th century, but it was officially established on September 18, 1947. Today is birth anniversary of Dr. Samuel Johnson, 18 September 1709 to 13 December 1784. Dr. Samuel Johnson, often called Dr. Johnson, was an English writer who made lasting contributions as a poet playwright, essayist, moralist, literary critic, sermonist, biographer, editor, and lexicographer. The Oxford Dictionary of National Biography calls him arguably the most distinguished man of letters in English history. Today is birth anniversary of Mr. N. Samuel of Vancouver, 18 September 1850 to 20th May 1927. Rev. N. Samuel of Vancouver was a professor in divinity, pastor in the Tamil Evangelical Lutheran Church, and a hymnodist. He was a famous poet and author of many books. He was also the first member of the Leipzig Evangelical Lutheran Mission Council. This historic Vancouver mission contributed to the emergence of other Christian communities in different parts, not only in Tamil Nadu but also in the entire Indian country. Today's Protestant Christianity in India is a living legacy in India that evolved out of Vancouver mission. Today is birth anniversary of Mr. Bhavanendranath Tagore, 18 September 1867 to 14 February 1938. Bhavanendranath Tagore was an Indian painter and cartoonist of the Bengali school. Along with his brother Avanindranath Tagore, he was counted as one of the earliest modern artists in India. Today is birth anniversary of Mr. Madanlal Dhingra, 18 September 1883 to 17th August 1909. Madanlal Dhingra was an Indian nationalist who, whilst a student at University College London in 1909, assassinated Sir William Hart Curzon Willie, the political aide de camp to the Secretary of State for India in London. Today is death anniversary of Mr. Dag Hammarskjöld, 29th July 1905 to 18th September 1961. Dag Hammarskjöld was born in Jönköping, Sweden in 1905 and died near Nadula, northern Rhodesia on September 18, 1961 in an air crash while flying there to negotiate a ceasefire between United Nations and Katanga forces. The son of the Swedish Prime Minister during World War One, Hammarskjöld studied law and economics at the Universities of Uppsala and Stockholm. He quickly gained prominence in his own country as secretary and then chairman of the Board of Governors of the Bank of Sweden. He was Under Secretary of the Swedish Department of Finance from 1936 to 1945. In 1946, he entered the Foreign Ministry as Financial Advisor and became Chief Swedish Delegate to the OEEC in 1948. In 1951, he was the Vice Chairman of the Swedish delegation to the United Nations. In 1952, he was Chairman, and in 1953, he was elected Secretary General and re-elected in 1957. Widely read in literature and philosophy, Dag Hammarskjöld translated the poetry of Saint John Pars into Swedish. He was made a member of the Swedish Academy in 1954, the only Nobel Peace Prize laureate to have received the award posthumously. Today is birth anniversary of Mr. Edwin Mackison Macmillan, 18 September 1907 to 7 September 1991. Edwin Mackison Macmillan was an American physicist credited with being the first to produce a transuranium element, neptunium. For this, he shared the 1951 Nobel Prize in Chemistry with Glenn Seaborg. A graduate of California Institute of Technology, he earned his doctorate from Princeton University in 1933 and joined the Berkeley Radiation Laboratory where he discovered oxygen-15 and beryllium-10. During World War II, he worked on microwave radar at the MIT Radiation Laboratory and then on sonar at the Navy Radio and Sound Laboratory. In 1942, he joined the Manhattan Project, the wartime effort to create atomic bombs, and helped establish its Los Alamos laboratory where the bombs were designed. He led teams working on the gun-type nuclear weapon design and also participated in the development of the implosion-type nuclear weapon. McClellan co-invented the synchrotron with Vladimir Wexler, and after the war he returned to the Berkeley Radiation Laboratory to build them. He was appointed Associate Director of the Radiation Laboratory in 1954 and promoted to Deputy Director in 1958. He became director upon the death of lab founder Ernest Lawrence later that year and remained director until his retirement in 1973. 1998, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers (ICANN) is founded. Author Esther Dyson became the first chairperson of the now non-profit organization, which was initially under the oversight of the US Department of Commerce. In 2009, the Department of Commerce gave up its control over ICANN, which is responsible for maintaining the domain name system DNS on the Internet. 1973, West Germany adopts the Deutsche Mark. This action replaced the East German mark and helped complete the economic reunification part of the union between East and West Germany. 1959, Vanguard 3 is launched into Earth's orbit. The geocentric satellite was launched into Earth's orbit by a Vanguard rocket built by Glenn L. Martin Company, which is now known as Lockheed Martin. 1934, USSR joins the League of Nations. It was expelled just a few years later for its aggressive actions towards Finland. 1872, Oscar II becomes King of Norway and Sweden. He succeeded his brother Charles 15 and 4. Today's 18 September highlight in history. 1618, the 12th Baktun in the Mesoamerican long count calendar begins. 1714, George I arrives in Great Britain after becoming king on August 1st. 1739, the Treaty of Belgrade is signed, whereby Austria cedes lands south of the Sava and Danube rivers to the Ottoman Empire. 1759, French and Indian War. The Articles of Capitulation of Quebec are signed. 1793, the first cornerstone of the United States Capitol is laid by George Washington. 1809, the Royal Opera House in London opens. 1810, first government junta in Chile. Though supposed to rule only during the Peninsular War in Spain, it is in fact the first step towards independence from Spain and is commemorated as such. 1812, the 1812 fire of Moscow dies down after destroying more than three-quarters of the city. Napoleon returns from the Petrovsky Palace to the Moscow Kremlin, spared from the fire. 1837, Tiffany and Company, first named Tiffany and Young, is founded by Charles Lewis Tiffany and Teddy Young in New York City. The store is called a stationery and fancy goods emporium. 1838, the Anti-Corn Law League is established by Richard Cobden. 1850, the US Congress passes the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. 1851, first publication of the New York Daily Times, which later becomes the New York Times. 1860, Second Opium War, Battle of Zhangzhou, now heading towards Beijing after having recently occupied Tianjin. The allied Anglo-French force engages and defeats a larger Qing Chinese army at Zhangzhou. 1862, the Confederate States celebrate for the first and only time a Thanksgiving Day. 1863, American Civil War. The Battle of Chickamauga begins between Confederate and Union forces. involves the second highest amount of casualties for any American Civil War battle apart from Gettysburg. 1864 American Civil War. John Bell Hood begins the Franklin-Nashville campaign in an unsuccessful attempt to draw William Tecumseh Sherman back out of Georgia. 1870 Old Faithful Giza is observed and named by Henry D. Washburn. 1872 King Oscar II accedes to the throne of Sweden-Norway. 1873 The bank J. Cooke and Company declares bankruptcy, contributing to the Panic of 1873. 1879 The Blackpool illuminations are switched on for the first time. 1882 The Pacific Stock Exchange opens. 1895 The Atlanta Exposition speech on race relations is delivered by Booker T. Washington. 1898 The Fasoda incident triggers the last war scare between Britain and France. 1906 The 1906 Hong Kong typhoon kills an estimated 10,000 people. 1914 The Irish Home Rule Act becomes law but is delayed until after World War One. 1919 Fritz Pollard becomes the first African American to play professional football for a major team, the Akron Pros. 1922 The Kingdom of Hungary is admitted to the League of Nations. 1927 The Columbia Broadcasting System goes on the air. 1928 Juan de la Cierva makes the first autogyro crossing of the English Channel. 1931 Imperial Japan instigates the Mukden incident as a pretext to invade and occupy Manchuria. 1934 The Soviet Union is admitted to the League of Nations. 1939 World War II The police government of Ignacy Moschiki flees to Romania. 1939 World War II The radio show Germany Calling begins transmitting Nazi propaganda. 1943 World War II Adolf Hitler orders the deportation of Danish Jews. 1944 World War II The British submarine HMS Tradewind torpedoes Junio Maru, killing 5,600 mostly slave laborers and POWs. 1944 World War II Operation Market Garden results in the liberation of Eindhoven. 1944 World War II The Battle of Arakote begins. 1945 General Douglas MacArthur moves his general headquarters from Manila to Tokyo. 1947 The National Security Act reorganizes the United States government's military and intelligence services. 1948 Operation Polo is terminated after the Indian Army accepts the surrender of the Army of Hyderabad. 1948 Margaret Chase Smith of Maine becomes the first woman elected to the United States Senate without completing another senator's term. 1954 Finnish President J.K. Paasikivi becomes the first Western head of state to be awarded the highest honor of the Soviet Union, the Order of Lenin. 1960 Fidel Castro arrives in New York City as the head of the Cuban delegation to the United Nations. 1961 UN Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld dies in an air crash while attempting to negotiate peace in the Katanga region of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. 1962 Burundi, Jamaica, Rwanda and Trinidad and Tobago are admitted to the United Nations. 1962 Aeroflot Flight 213 crashes into a mountain near Chereskee Airport, killing 32 people. 1964 The wedding of Constantine II of Greece and Princess Anne-Marie of Denmark takes place in Athens. 1973 The Bahamas, East Germany and West Germany are admitted to the United Nations. 1974, Hurricane Fifi strikes Honduras with 110 mph winds, killing 5,000 people. 1977, Voyager 1 takes the first distant photograph of the Earth and the Moon together. 1980, Soyuz 38 carries two cosmonauts, including one Cuban, to the Salyut 6 space station. 1981, the Assembly Nationale votes to abolish capital punishment in France. 1982, the Sabra and Satelia massacre in Lebanon comes to an end. 1984, Joe Kittinger completes the first solo balloon crossing of the Atlantic. 1988, the 8,888 uprising in Myanmar comes to an end. 1988, General Henry Nampi, president of Haiti, is ousted from power in a coup defeat led by General Prosper Avril. 1990, Liechtenstein becomes a member of the United Nations. 1992, an explosion rocks giant mine at the height of a labor dispute, killing 9 replacement workers in Yellowknife, Canada. 1997, United States media magnate Ted Turner donates US $1 billion to the United Nations. 1997, the Anti-Personnel Mine Ban Convention is adopted. 2001, first mailing of anthrax letters from Trenton, New Jersey in the 2001 anthrax attacks. 2007, Buddhist monks join anti-government protesters in Myanmar, starting what some call the Saffron Revolution. 2011, the 2011 Sikkim earthquake is felt across northeastern India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and southern Tibet. 2012, Greater Manchester police officers PC Nicola Hughes and PC Fiona Bone are murdered in a gun and grenade ambush attack in Greater Manchester, England. 2014, Scotland votes against independence from the United Kingdom by 55% to 45%. 2015, two security personnel, 17 worshippers in a mosque and 13 militants are killed during a Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan attack on a Pakistan Air Force base on the outskirts of Peshawar. 2016, the 2016 Uri attack in Jammu and Kashmir, India by terrorist group Jaish-e-Mohammed results in the deaths of 19 Indian Army soldiers and all four attackers. 2021, a ferry capsizes in Guizhou province, China due to bad weather, leaving 10 people dead and 5 missing. Thank you very much for your patience.